744, welcome back to BT. Just a glimpse of the wildfires raging across our province right now. We wanted to bring in Vancouver Fire Chief Darrell Reid, who shared many messages of the challenge our first responders are battling on the front line. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
At latest count, how many wildfires across this province are currently burning?
I believe there are over 600 wildfires burning in British Columbia right now.
That number right there seems enormous. This year compared to previous years, what's the reality and how much worse has this gotten here in 2018?
Well, the last 2 years, last year and this year, have both been unbelievable volumes in terms of fires. Last year may have got a little bit more attention early on because of the populated areas that were being impacted. But in terms of volume of fire area being impacted, this year is very comparable.
Well, you've been an important leader in this battle, and I want to show this first tweet talking about the recognition for the firefighters and the importance of that fact. What is an average day like for firefighters facing these wildfires right now?
Well, I know I can speak for the Vancouver crews when they're deploying. So they start their day early, around 7 o'clock in the morning with a debriefing. They're assigned a task force group with firefighters from around the province, actually sometimes from around the world. And then they're deployed into an area to do things like structural protection or actual active wildland firefighting. The days once they start absolutely can go 13, 14, 15 hours. Typically not nighttime operations for this type of firefighting. It's very dangerous to be out in the dark in that environment, but definitely very long days.
Can you speak to the toll this takes? You've been such an advocate of mental health with firefighters earlier this year, but the physical toll, the extreme stress, the decision-making that needs to happen to battle these blazes, what does this do to the firefighters?
Well, you know, I actually got to meet our first deployed crews last night when they came back after a week away, and of course a 13-hour journey to get home as well. They talked a lot about those impacts. Like it's very draining mentally as well as physically to be there. Things move very quickly, and you have the extra emotional impact of being around and being with local firefighters and local people who've been impacted by the fires. I think that might be the toughest thing, is to see their worry and see, in some cases, the loss that those people have experienced. And you can be very empathetic towards that if you're a firefighter, typically. So you're feeling that, and at the same time, you're out there in the field trying to protect people from more of that happening. It's interesting because when our firefighters got back last night, the first thing one of them said is the real heroes are the people in the towns who are facing this impact, but were there feeding us every day and taking care of us every day, and they were marveling at the resilience of people in northern BC.
Vanderhoof was one of those communities. You posted that photo thanking them that the donation capacity for food, you had reached it.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable that in a town that potentially is facing evacuation and is surrounded by other places that have evacuated, that town themselves donates so much food for firefighters coming in that we had to turn away donations. So I think that says so much about those communities.
With the decisions that need to be made, when you look at the enormity of some of these wildfires, how do you choose which ones you're going to battle and then which ones you just feel it's better if they just run their own course?
Yeah, you're right. There are so many fires covering so much of the province right now that there just aren't enough resources to deal with all of them directly. So you do a triage and you select putting your resources towards the fires that are going to have the greatest impact on humans and, of course, the greatest impact on the environment. So you'll see right now the firefighters tend to be concentrated around populated areas. One area would be the Fraser Lake area, where there are a number of communities at risk, and there are firefighters from all over the place that are protecting those communities.
What's the greatest need right now, whether it's the Vancouver squad of firefighters or firefighters around the province? If people think, I want to come out, I want to support the important work being done, how can they help?
One way that they can help, you find during a disaster that one of the big needs is money. So there are a number of charitable organizations that have been set up to take donations. I know that one is the Red Cross, and that the government of BC is matching donations that are made to the Red Cross. So that's a great way for people to participate and help out. To be honest, the scope and scale of the fires is such that a change in weather is going to be one of our biggest allies.
And the battles locally still continue. We just saw what happened with Trout Lake, which was a serious one. What do you learn from a local fire like that?
Well, that was an interesting one because we had a fire with 3 structures and a couple of cars involved a couple of days ago. But the fire centered around a large cedar hedge, and the cedar hedge burned so hotly that it actually set a building across an alleyway on fire with radiant heat. That just gives you a taste of the fires that Wildland and all of the other partner firefighters firefighters are working on in the wildlands in British Columbia right now. It's one hedge, 3 buildings, 2 cars.
It's a lot to consider when it comes to safety, planning, and precaution. Final note, pop-up water parks, are they coming back tonight?
They are coming back tonight, and just stay tuned to our different social media feeds, mine included, and there'll be 3 new locations. We're trying to move them around the city and meet our neighbors all through different communities in Vancouver.
Well, you're a great follow on social media. Fire Chief Darrell Reid right here. Great chance for education and just obviously staying informed with what's happening in our province. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.